Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar fan commentary track video. This one's going to be for Book 3 Fire Episode 1, The Awakening. Continue to suggest other episodes of Avatar and Korra for me to do in future commentary tracks, but I will say here that the next couple of commentary tracks in a row will be focused on Avatar, and not as many on Korra, but I will still be doing some Korra ones, and we'll eventually be getting through, like, I suppose, all episodes of both series. So to sync up your copy of the episode with this commentary track, have the episode ready to go on your DVD, your Blu-ray, your online stream, Netflix, whatever. Have it ready to go at the very start of this episode, including the introduction and the recap and stuff like that, the very start of the episode. And then I'm going to be finishing up this intro to the video in just a second. Then there'll be a 10-second pause with silence, no audio, and then when I speak again after that pause of 10 seconds, that's when I'll hit play, that's when you should hit play, and we should be synced up after that. So, bringing the intro to the video to an end, after the 10-second pause coming up, when you hear me speak again, hit play, and we should be lined up together. Okay, so here we are with 301, The Awakening. So this is the season premiere for Book 3 Fire after a pretty long break back when the show was first airing. After the crazy cliffhanger ending that was Crossroads of Destiny from Book 2, we opened up with this episode, and it really delivered on the sense of, yeah, the characters had to deal with the loss that they just suffered, and how do they come back from that? Where does the series go from here? Like, they've lost. How do they plan? Given that, like, we know Azula knows about the invasions, but they don't know she knows, so, like, that's still happening. Like, you know that there's another sort of twist coming, that even if they get back up and ready to go again, that's still out there. It's really well done. And then, of course, like the recap is covering here, Zuko's betrayal and how he deals with, he's returning home, and Ozai now thinks his turn, his actions are what won them the day, are what took Ba Sing Se for them. How's he going to feel about the fact that he betrayed his uncle, and that Azula has told a lie about the specifics of what he actually did? I have this episode number 25 on my overall Avatar The Last Airbender episode ranking list, so pretty high up in the B category, not quite the highest tier, but it is a fantastic episode. It's one of those ones where, again, the only real complaint would be that there are other better episodes, but that's really all. There's no major problems with this one at all. But yeah, Aang with hair, that's how long he's been out of action, that he has hair. And he's on a Fire Nation ship. Like, what's happened? We do have to get caught up with how we went from having everyone on Appa to suddenly Aang's on a ship here. What's the situation? But he's alive. He can walk. That's good. But like, oh look, Pipsqueak and the Duke. But he doesn't notice that. He's just shocked about what's going on here. But we know it's Pipsqueak and the Duke. Freedom fighters. And up on deck here, Momo, Hakoda, Bato, all in Fire Nation gear. They've captured a ship, of course. And yeah, Toph, Katara, the gang's all here, basically. I'm finally awake after all this time. And then Sokka, wearing full Fire Nation armor. Not a bit overstimulated there, but it's really good. Like, there's a few comics from the Lost Adventures that take place just before this. The bridge for Katara is such an important comic. I love that in terms of getting across her emotions of how she feels about Aang being gone, and that's why she's so emotional when he's back. But on the other side, we immediately get this idea of Zuko so lost in thought on his return. But the one good thing that will be continuously the one good thing that he will regret sort of leaving behind going forward is his relationship with Mai. And I love what they do here, of that they do create a situation where, like, there is this one thing that is going exceptionally well for him throughout these early episodes, and that is the romance with Mai. and there's this hope of like, you know, he doesn't think she'll maybe follow him, but in the end she is willing to do that. That's why the scene later on in the Boiling Rock is so important. But yeah, Katara likes Aang's hair. Few weeks he was out, highlighting just how intense things were. And it's like, oh, Katara's finally reunited with her father, sort of like off screen, basically. Why is she angry? Given how emotional like a lot of the scenes between Sokka and Katara have been about him, what's going on here? And Aang is like, did something happen? And in a way she doesn't quite realize it, but it's going to come out later on, and it's a really, I think, important scene. But yeah, healing session. Everyone forgets this scene when it comes to the rock at the end. Of like, why does Aang get the Avatar state back when he hits the rock? It's because if Katara committed to what she's doing here, of like probably healing his back and sort of like almost like pulling energy, she's going to pull basically the healing out as she does this. If she does this fully, and like she did that more, which is obviously a painful process for Aang, but if she did that consistently, she would heal the twisted up energy there, but it hurts Aang both, I suppose, mentally and physically. The problem with Aang is solely a physical problem. He doesn't need to unlock the chakra at this point or anything like that. It's a very simple process. But an important thing there, basically, without saying it, because it's a Nickelodeon show, confirming that, yeah, Aang pretty much died and Katara resurrected him. Like, there's no doubt about that. Lo and Lee, telling the legend of how the Fire Nation finally took Ba Sing Se. Of just, you know, the prince and princess joined together and that turned the tides to take Ba Sing Se. If the Fire Nation remained in control and won the war, that would be this legendary victory. But yeah, the Dai Li bringing down the walls of Ba Sing Se. Very, very intense. That's what a group of extremely powerful earthbenders can do. They can take down the walls of Ba Sing Se. There's Jin in the background, of course. Yep. Hope. Jin. Ying, I think it is. But yeah. Ba Sing Se being taken by the Fire Nation. And yeah, of course, Azula is treated as a hero. But also, as we see here, Zuko's return. And how will he be treated, given that he's been banished for so long? 3 long years. But the story is that he turned the tides in the battle, and now everyone is cheering him. And look how different he looks in sort of like his new look, not the sort of book 1 look. This is Zuko's, you know, older look and stuff like that with his new hairstyle. It's like, cool. But here's what happened with Team Avatar. Earth King traveled with Bosco, so he's off like living undercover, sort of discovering the world. So he's a more knowledgeable person kind of going forward in the series. Water Tribe raiding a ship. Of course, that'd be one of their specialities, of course, taking ships like that. So the invasion plan is still going ahead. Ooh, what's going on here? So yeah, no massive invasion with the help of the Earth King, but it'll be a small attack. They still plan to use the window that they have. And you almost forget that Azula knows that this is something that's coming. And this is this thing, like Sokka's like, it's great, everyone thinks you're dead. But to Aang, that's like this failure. The world thinks he's dead. They already know he was gone for a certain amount of time. But now the world thinks that he completely failed. He was killed trying to do what he needed to do. The hope of the world has died, basically. And yes, it's an amazing surprise thing to be able to do. But for Aang, you completely get why he feels the way he feels going forward. But yeah, the Avatar's back. But yeah, Aang, you need some more healing. You have a wound that was basically lethal on your back. You've only just woken up after weeks of being unconscious. Everyone else can do this, so some hide Appa under the tarp. And here we go. Inspection, I suppose. I like those things where like a character's clearly lying, but they say something that's like, "Oh yeah, that thing. We get it." Just you think it's going to be completely tense, but then the guy actually has a little bit of a sense of humor. I was like, oh, fair enough. But yeah, oh, what? Admiral Chan's been on leave. And here we go. Toph is the first one to sense it. And a really cool move here, just like her metal bending has really gone on leaps and bounds in the, you know, she's only had that a bit, like she basically within the finale of like episode 1920 learned the ability, so she's had to adapt to that as well. Huge water bending move from Katara there, to be able to like move so much water to separate ships like that, so very, very impressive. Turtle ducks, of course, referencing the Zuko alone stuff. And they flee when Azula comes, confirming, you know, what Zuko had said about, you know, Zuko mentioning that that's what Azula does to the turtle ducks, throwing rocks at them. And he still hasn't seen Ozai yet. And here we go. Zuko knows about the spirit water, that's why he has his doubts. And Azula senses that doubt in Zuko, so it's a really tense situation here. She captures, she's completely aware of what's going on here, so she takes the initiative here and is actually like, I'll lose a little bit of glory here. Like, I could get all the glory for being the one who shot down the Avatar, but I'm going to give that to Zuko, because I'm pretty sure the Avatar survived somehow. That way she doesn't have to suffer any kind of loss for like, oh, I said I killed the Avatar, but he's actually alive. That'll be Zuko's shame if it turns around. But yeah, here we get some of the best, the Doff moments, of course. The amazing ship that is Toph and the Duke. We have the Duke, of course, being Toph's kind of wingman here, aiming her, basically. Pretty nice stuff. But it's cool to get to see like a ship-to-ship battle here. And how important Katara can be in some of these battles. Just like really cool kind of frost breath move to seal the hole in the ship. Very nice. And then here's another cool move. Creating like mist, basically. And I like how she does it. Like she basically makes a little bit of a whirlpool and uses that to make it happen. And it's just like Katara can be incredibly powerful in naval attacks. Gives you a sense that like if the Southern Water Tribe had more of a like advanced military, had bigger ships, they would have been such a massive threat to the Fire Nation. But of course the Fire Nation kind of preemptively, you know, struck quite early at the Southern Water Tribe, taking them out before anything could happen. It's the serpent. He's back. And you see, the Duke has his hand on Toph's shoulder. But yeah, of course they hit the serpent and get its wrath turned on them. something's gone well for them. But yeah. Aang lost in thought. And just the fact that they have to hide him. This is probably the time where he most wants to announce himself to be the Avatar, but he has to for the sake of the plan. And then, yeah. You know, he's being stubborn about this, but, you know, it's those little things of, like, he hasn't had to do that as much, be hidden. But it means so much more now. And here's the understanding. Yeah. Don't want people to know you failed. And again, this is Katara, all about the hope. Aang represents that hope. And here we go. Big line. And just the fact that Aang, for like the first time in the entire series, mentions honor, smash cut to Zuko. About to apparently get his honor back from his father. But will it be enough? And it's just that idea of the reverse here. Everything is pretty much going alright for Zuko. He has his doubts, of course, because he made a big decision, but you know, it's been fairly okay. Things are good with May and so on. He's just about to meet Ozai here, and that actually ends up going okay. But then there's the extra bits of, like, the doubt comes in. But then we have Aang suddenly in this sort of desperate mode. Like, this is almost Aang in his, like, blue spirit mode of just the desperation to, like, accomplish what he needs to. I'll do it on my own, with no one else's help, to redeem myself, to get my honor back. And finally, they're going to properly reveal Ozai to us here. Who is the big villain of the series? He must have a crazy design and look really threatening, but no, he's just this guy, and is actually like a relatively handsome character within the series. Which would, I suppose, make sense, but it adds an extra layer of sort of humanity onto this. That this is the guy behind everything that's happened to Zuko, to Ursa. The big bad in all of this. It's him. He's the person Aang has to take down. And it makes complete sense. And here we go. Finally, she's talking to Hakoda, but there's a dual meaning here. She's talking about Aang and also Hakoda here. This is how she felt about him leaving. The voice acting performance is so good. That, of course, because of the situation, it's not just this super happy reunion between the two. There's happiness, of course, but there's issues to be addressed. And, like, that's just the thing of, like, they don't really show it much in the show. But there is Earth Kingdom forces on the front lines. Water Tribe forces basically on the front lines as best they can. Fighting the war that is still going on. The show, at times, doesn't do a great job at highlighting that it is continuous battles happening over and over again. But Hakoda has been involved in that. And there's been a sense of a need to do that. To have people confronting the Fire Nation. And there's a lie. Azula told him Zuko did it. And this is all of a sudden like, okay, things are going well. Ozai's talking to him normally. There's a respect there, kind of now. But it's all based on a lie because Zuko knows Aang is alive because of that spirit water. And there's still so many great scenes to come. But you can see the desperation here from Aang, just out on his own. This is Aang's version of, journeying through the northern tundra up at the Northern Water Tribe. This is Aang going on his own under Lake Laogai to try and capture Appa. That thing of like, and then what? Then what were you going to do? You're actually just going to walk into the Fire Nation on your own just after recovering to face the Fire Lord? No. This is an interesting scene because like that's what Azula looks like without like her kind of lipstick and like makeup and stuff like that. She looks so different. And the big thing, she looks so like her mother, and the makeup and her usual hairstyle make her not look like Ursa, which is so interesting. I think what's so good about this scene is that like it's still Azula, it's just that she looks so different. What motive could she have? And this is that sense of like, Zuko's the firstborn, she's the secondborn. There's an inherent sort of conflict between the two of them for like who's next in line for the throne. This is that competitiveness of like, I want to be better than you. So if someone's going down for this, if the Avatar hasn't fully been taken out, I'm not going to go down for that in Ozai's mind. You are. And so immediately there's all these wrenches thrown into the way things are for Zuko here. And they haven't even quite addressed the Iroh thing yet, which we'll get to. But yeah, you sort of think, oh, is this going to be another moment where he's forced into the Avatar state? But wait, the Avatar state is blocked. Like if he goes down here, the defense mechanism isn't going to activate. But here we go. He has restored his connection with the past lives. This is really good, the failure of like, Roku also failed, in a way. And yeah, it's like, it's probably me for allowing this to happen. Obviously, you have a slightly different perspective on this once you actually hear the backstory in 306. You can understand why Roku didn't just immediately kill Sozin. They were so close. He couldn't have ever believed that Sozin would do what he ended up doing. And then, finally, after all this time, we see Yue again. You can't give up. She obviously helped him in the in-between, escape from the spirit world, which I've already done a commentary for, so check that out. And just a nice thing, a past Avatar, in addition to the Moon Spirit. The Moon Spirit being right there, directly shining her light onto Aang, gives him sort of double, triple enhanced moon water power. Water bending, and he's able to do this whole make a full-scale tidal wave to ride home on. Like, so cool that like, because he literally knows the Moon Spirit, there can be that sort of even further amplified power of it all. But yeah. And here we go. Crescent Island, of course. The group all find him here. He's okay, but he now realizes what they need to do. And yeah, this isn't going to be just the whole invasion force together until the invasion. They have to do their own thing. Aang's glider is broken. And he realizes now that, yeah, at this stage even the glider would give him away. Now it's time to put away everything that really recognizes him as the Avatar. So He's going to have to cover that arrow tattoo for a while. No more glider. No more, orange and yellow clothing. The Avatar is going to have to go away for now. Similar to, Zuko having to not display that he is Fire Nation royalty anymore at the start of Book 2. This is, them having to go undercover, but this time with the Fire Nation. So it's that really cool reverse of, we get the Zuko Iroh story, but with the gang in the Fire Nation. And they get to experience the Fire Nation in the same way that Zuko and Iroh got to experience the Earth Kingdom. And that's the importance of Book 3 that I think a lot of people really sleep on when they analyze Book 3. It often comes up in a lot of the, is Book 2 or 3 the better book of Avatar? Which is the best? Is it Book 2 or Book 3? And a lot of the people who say Book 2 are usually the people who will sort of undervalue a lot of the earlier episodes in Book 1. Not Episode 1 so much, because it's such a great start. This is the episode that needs to happen as Episode 1. But the stuff in the aftermath of this, going into, the headband, the painted lady, Sokka's master, and so on. More sort of side plot episodes, but still important episodes of the team getting to see the Fire Nation. It's enemy territory, but it's not all enemy territory, if you know what I mean. It's just the place that happens to have the leaders who are the leader of the enemy faction. And we see that, the impact of the way the Fire Nation is ruled and the way it goes about things has an impact on its own citizens. The citizens don't just grow up evil, they are sort of thought to be that way because of the schools and the way the history is, and that's what we learn in the next episode. In the third episode, we learn that the Fire Nation don't even particularly care about some of their own more isolated towns. So the people of the Zhonghui River suffer greatly, and military factories and stuff like that just completely destroy their rivers, so they're destroying the environment as well. All of these important things happen early on. You have Sokka's master, finally a big upgrade for Sokka, so it makes sense how he's going to become the commander during the invasion later on. Episode 5, of course, really, really important development for Mai, Ty Lee, Azula, Zuko as well. Important stuff to set up where that side of the story is going, and so on. That's why I think a lot of this stuff works. And ultimately, all 3 seasons of Avatar have that sort of grouping of episodes that aren't super plot focused, and it's pretty much all about how you value them against each other. So how do you value from Book 2 the likes of basically Avatar Day, Cave of Two Lovers, The Swamp, those type of episodes against, say, the Painted Lady, the Beach, the Headband. And there's a lot of similar, approaches in those episodes, ultimately. So I feel there's a similarity between Book 2 and 3 in that way. And again, because this time it's the gang doing what Zuko and Iroh did. Again, it's sort of being reversed in that sense. Zuko has this big journey to figure out what's going on, in the same way that Aang had to figure out the Avatar state throughout Book 2, but this time they are the ones traveling through the sort of enemy kingdom. So I think this is just a fantastic opener episode. You almost wish they'd included aspects of comics like The Bridge and Going Home Again into this to give a little bit more extra context into Zuko and Mai's relationship, and then also Katara's feelings about Aang being out of action for so long. But there's value to those comics, even just reading them separately, but they're worth checking out for sure. So yeah, that's been my thoughts on The Awakening. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.